Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with my good friend, Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm okay. They lost. The Oilers lost, so that's never a happy moment. But they actually played in the end, they played a hell of a game, Bruce. I mean, we had the grade A shots at 18-10 for the Oilers in that game over the Sabres.
Yep.
In this 4-2 game, one was an empty net goal. And the five alarm shots, we try to calculate, essentially, does it have a 30% chance of going, 30% plus chance of going in? These are your very, very best wham, bam scoring chances, on the in the goal mouth or one-timer shots. The Oilers were 13-5, Bruce. 13-5 over the Sabres in that category. So this was a hell of a goaltending performance by Eric Comrie, the Sabres netminder. The Oilers, it was just they got, I like to, it always I'm going to say the Oilers got Louis Levasseur. I always remember, this is my 1970s sports reference of the day.
I remember.
Back in the WHA, there was a great little goalie, and he played for, I think, a couple different teams.
Fighting Saints, I think, was this.
And also Hartford, maybe? Yeah, anyway, he would come up with these like 46, 42 save, 39 save performances sometimes against the Oilers. Louis Levasseur. I could hear Rod now. Stupendous save. And so the Oilers got Louis Levasseur tonight. This is when a unsung goalie comes in and slams shut the net, even though the Oilers are the dominant team. And that's in a large part of the story of the game. We'll talk about other aspects of the game, but Comrie's goaltending was huge. This was our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast, Bruce. We shall start it off with your good thing.
Yeah, well, am I allowed to say Eric Comrie? I mean, holy moly, he was the show. I remember Louis Levasseur. He was an Oiler briefly in the WHA years, and he also was the goalie in the movie Slapshot, as I understand it. Not the speaking part, but the actual left-handed goalie who played in those in Slapshot. And he was definitely a man and hockey player of that era, Louis Levasseur. I'd say the Oilers got Darren Poopa tonight, actually. I was actually at the Darren Poopa game, which was his first career game and was his most famous game, I think, for his entire career, Darren Poopa, when he came in 1985, 86, I think it was, November 1st, I'm recollecting, and it was basically 1-0 game for Buffalo with an empty netter at the end. And in that game, like this game, the Oilers suddenly woke up in the third period and just poured on. I think they had 20 shots in the third after having 19 in the first two periods. You can look up that game in Hockey Reference and see if I'm right or wrong. Buffalo had an empty netter at the end to make it look like a 2-0 game, and Darren Poopa was a complete, I mean, they thought he was a good prospect, but I mean, unknown goalie shuts out Stanley Cup champions in their own barn. So this wasn't quite a shutout, but what definitely was a goaltender win by Buffalo. And I was asked by my wife if Stuart Skinner cost the Oilers that game, and my response was, well, he was the second best goalie in the game. And to me, Stuart Skinner didn't lose the game for the Oilers. Eric Comrie did.
Guess how big, Bruce? Here's a quiz question for you.
Yeah.
How big was Louis Levasseur?
Oh, he was short.
5'9", 160 pounds.
Yeah, he was just a little guy, lefty.
And he played for the Minnesota Fighting Saints, then the Oilers, and then the New England Whalers. And then he played one game in the NHL for the Minnesota Roosters, let in 7 goals. All right, your good thing.
Yeah, well, returning to the game, my good thing is the Oilers push in the third period when they really came on gangbusters. I could tell from McDavid's first shift in the third period that this was going to be a long 20 minutes for the Sabres, and indeed it was a very long 20 minutes for the Sabres, including Eric Comrie and McDavid and other Oilers were hopping, playing lots of minutes and pouring on the pressure and firing 23 shots on net officially in the third period to 5 by Buffalo. And they had the puck about that percentage of the time. And they did everything you would hope for. I mean, they time and again they just pile drive the ball down to the 1 yard line. And they just couldn't power it over the goal line because Comrie was be laying on the ice. And honestly, they were almost shooting from too close, and they couldn't get it up. The only one they finally scored was when McDavid fished it back to Nugent Hopkins, and he was all of about 8 feet out, but far enough back to at least get some air under the puck and get it under the crossbar. But time and again, they were too close, or they were, Comrie was good. The puck bounced just wide. But the third period comeback was it was inspiring, and at the same time, it left me asking, really, from early moments in the third period, where the hell was this in the second period? First period, pretty good. Second period, not good at all. Third period, pour it on, but too late. And
how the hell did Hyman not score, or Draisaitl not score on that chance that he had, or McDavid with just under 5 minutes he had that chance, right? Like, what the chances of one of those three guys not Nugent Hopkins finally did score, but man, those were just great scoring chances. I mean, Leon Draisaitl just regularly parks out in the back of the net, and he just couldn't. And Hyman's shot was in so just bang bang, and he couldn't get it in. But that's hockey. That happens sometimes, right? Like, you're gonna get five games a year, like where you get Louis Lavaseur, right? Like that's gonna happen throughout the year or
it's the NHL, the goalies are good, and some people
are.
say the game should be called goalie. And tonight was one of those games where
the
goalie was the huge difference maker in a game where one team was better, but the other goalie was better still than that enough to. And Buffalo, they played all right.
They did.
I mean, nothing against Buffalo. I thought they brought it pretty good, but in the third period they were overwhelmed, and their goalie saved them.
Yeah, it was almost like they were expecting the Oilers to score, and the Oilers just didn't score. Draisaitl was in on. He had 12 major contributions to grade A shots. That said, he was the culprit on all 3 goals that were scored against the Oilers goalie. He was the culprit on all 3. 2 turnovers, and once he didn't get out to the point quickly enough, I didn't think, on Dahlin there on that shot. But
the 3-on-4, where he got on the face-off circle.
He did, just like Malone the game before, and that it's hard to fight through that, but that's the job. All right, Bruce. My good thing was a guy actually who made a mistake. Also made a mistake on a goal against. It's Darnell Nurse. He made a mistake. He got beat by the mighty Tage Thompson, who is kind of mighty, isn't he? He's an amazing player. He scored a goal last year against the Oilers where he just swooped in and hammered home the puck, and I thought, who the heck is that? Or maybe it was just a grade A shot. But that guy, he's big, fast, talented hockey player, and man, that was a fantastic skill goal, a beautiful goal by him where he went around Nurse, then went around Skinner, and Bob Stauffer compared it to the Peter Mahovlich goal in Game 2 of the 1972 Canada-Russia series. Bob's mandatory 1970 sports reference in that game, I guess. It wasn't as good as that goal, but it was a damn good goal. And Nurse got beat. But other than that, Bruce, I thought Darnell Nurse was really skating well and moving the puck well. And he was really, that's as well. It's so great to see him skating well again after last year's playoffs when he was kind of not obviously limping around, but kind of moving around at half speed.
Gingerly.
And the goal he scored was a beautiful pass from Draisaitl, and very sure finish by Darnell Nurse. He just slammed it home along the ice. Hard shot to stop. But really, it was his skating all night long, up and down the ice. Fast, smart, effective, good with the puck, making good plays. Smart plays. His best game that I've seen him play. The play, dare I say, of a $9 million a year.
Wow. Funny you should mention that, David. I was not monitoring Twitter during the game. I can't stand. I don't. I'm too trying to focus on the game, especially when I'm
Yeah.
grading as I am tonight. But my son was reporting that after the, I'm not even sure if it was the Thompson goal, that Nurse was getting crucified on Twitter, and the figure of $9.25 million gets raised every time he makes a single mistake. That figure gets up. Hey, Oilers fans, I got an idea. Park it with that stuff. Come on. I mean, the contract is there. The guy's playing. He's on our team. He's playing his ass off for the Oilers. He makes mistakes. He's a high event player. He makes good things happen. Accept him for what he is. And sometimes I wonder, what the hell is all that about? And there are other times I really wonder what it's about. And it's
He did
frustrating.
get a beat on another breakaway, but as was noted
Oh,
by the play-by-play announcers, he made a fantastic play to come
yeah,
back and tip Tuck's stick, and that
yeah.
really thwarted the play. It was a great comeback. I thought, man, he didn't get a penalty.
Mhm.
It wasn't a penalty.
Nope.
He made a legal play on the stick, a
Yep.
legal play on the stick,
Yep.
and thwarted Tux from making his best move there, or even a good move.
And Tuck made a great play to steal the puck in the first place. Like that was a
Yeah,
great play by Tuck, followed by a great play by Nurse.
yeah.
And
So we are of one mind on Darnell Nurse tonight that he played a good game at least, maybe yeah, I would say a good game. There was
mhm.
the one major mistake, and but other than that, okay, Bruce, your bad thing.
Well, we probably touched on a couple of them already, but I think I'll go completely off of that script and talk about the devastating hit that Dylan Holloway took in the
Uh,
second period that put him out of this hockey game. And I believe it may also put Lyubushkin, the guy who nailed him, out of the game because he didn't play a whole lot after that, if at all. I didn't notice Lyubushkin leaving the game, but I sure noticed Dylan Holloway. I mean, he went quickly to the bench. It's not like he stayed down or anything, but when he went off and down the tunnel, I thought, yeah, good night, Dick. And that guy is um, not been getting many good breaks. And boy, for all that he had a great preseason, I was thinking the whole preseason, and I said it on this cast at least once that when the games start counting for real points is when we find out sometimes. And Holloway's had a very rough first week in the National Hockey League with some real difficult moments in each of
yeah,
his three games, and the one from tonight being having his taken the suicide pass from Warren Fogle and not fielding it cleanly, but not having his head up and not just it's. I remember Scott Young. Here's my mandatory. It might even be 1950s sports reference. It's from his great book, The Leafs I Knew, from
uh-huh.
1958 to 63. And somewhere in that book, he's got a quote, and I'll never forget it. And that was some guy, some pundit off the ice saying, "A player who skates around with his head down will soon wind up with no head at all in this league." And this league was the NHL then, and it's still the NHL now, and that rule still largely applies. You can't
You know,
play the game. You got to be aware of your surroundings. And Lyubushkin really took advantage and stepped up and into a young rookie, and Fogle, who laid the suicide pass, went after him, but not to any effect, and the damage was done. All it did was get an extra penalty for the Oilers. Um, and thankfully they killed that one off. But that was during the down part of the game for the Oilers. I think it was between the two goals that Buffalo scored in sort of the first 5 minutes of the second period. But obviously the concern here is for Dylan Holloway's health. Uh,
uh,
he
I
went
was
off
so
okay, but
hoping.
it could
Yeah,
be concussion. There's no way to
yeah,
know. And of course, they have no room to maneuver on their roster. I mean, they have. I mean, obviously Derek Ryan who can come back in next game, and if Holloway's not able to go, but they'll have no flexibility at all, barring Holloway actually going on long-term injured reserve, which is a different kind of problem. But either way, it's not a good situation. I felt bad for the kid.
yeah. I was so hoping to see him just come back onto the ice, like that he'd be okay, and I'm just worried that he isn't. That was a brutal hit. But Bruce, it was illegal. I think it was
Yeah,
legal.
I agree.
I don't think it was a dirty hit. It was the kind of hit that if Marcus Niemelainen laid on, a Buffalo Sabre tonight, everyone would be whooping and cheering and happy and not happy that the Buffalo Sabre player got hurt, but thinking that's a legal hit, that's hockey, and that's what that was. I also, it was just hard to see. It was hard to see a player get hit like that. Um, and Holloway has had such a rough start. You're right. Labushkin played 8:51, and he was playing a regular shift until then. So maybe that was his last bit of ice time. I'm not sure about that. Um, he's a tough customer. That was a tough hit.
Oh yeah, no, that's his game. He was with Arizona before, and I remember him taking a run. I think he took a run at McDavid last year before he got traded to Toronto. Anyway, uh, that was one of those plays where there's many fans that will say that was a clean hit. Why are they fighting after every clean hit? Why do they have to fight him after every clean hit? And it, there's the NHL players. They classify it differently. Uh, Within the rules or not within the rules, there's a certain level of violence that
Yeah.
if the hit exceeds that level of violence, then that guy is going to answer for it one way or another. And I mean,
Do you think it
Fogle
was
did
always
go
so,
after him.
Bruce? Do you think
Yeah.
that was always? What about Nicholas Cronwall? He like when he would hammer people. I don't think it was always so. I think this is more of a recent last 10, 15 years kind of thing, except on a star player. I mean, I just think we would regularly see hits like that, and there wouldn't be necessarily a fight right away after it.
Well, people have been complaining about fights after clean hits for a long time, and many of them, to me, the ones that are technically clean, no penalty, that are nonetheless where a vulnerable player gets smoked and endangered by the and I mean it is part of the game and I recognize it, but at the same time I've seen so many reactions like that. And my take is that there's a certain level of hit that players feel that they must respond to, and it's always responded to right then and there, or the nearest teammate goes after the guy. In this case, it was
Yeah.
Fogle.
I'm not against it. I'm not trying to say
Mhm.
I'm not against it. I'm just saying, like when I remember Muni or Marchment in the 90s, Muni in the 80s and the 90s, Marchment in the 90s,
Mhm.
throwing that kind of hit, and I don't think they had to answer for it every single time they would throw such a devastating hit. Or Cronwall,
Mhm.
into the aughts, into the oddies.
Right.
I don't think we've ever figured out what to call that time period. Bruce, my bad thing. I thought the Oilers had too many passengers tonight,
Mhm.
and they did decisively outchance the other team,
Yep.
outshoot and outchance the other team. But there was a number of players who weren't in on any grade A chances in any way for the Oilers, and that includes Marcus Niemelainen, Devin Shore, Brett Kulak, Ryan Murray, Warren Fogle, and Ryan McLeod. And I can't say any one play from any of those players, maybe a few plays from McLeod, but those guys have got to do more. You can't count on the big guys every single game. They needed a goal from one of
Yeah.
these guys. They need, and it didn't come, and they weren't particularly involved physically. Did Niemelainen get a hit tonight? I don't remember him hitting
He had
anyone. He didn't
three
play
hits, but
much.
none of them were memorable.
Yeah.
And he got a -1 because it was he that was racing ahead of the play on that turnover by Draisaitl that left Barry stranded behind everybody because Niemelainen wanted to get involved in the attack, which I don't think is what he's in the lineup to do. But he did join that rush, and uh, it
Yeah.
didn't work out
So
in the end.
so
Hard to blame him, but at the same time, what's he
yeah,
doing there? Is he
yeah,
going to score?
you never
Probably
know.
not.
But it
But
is his job to get involved in the play too.
mhm.
So nonetheless, like these guys, they didn't do much. They did nothing. And it's time for them to start doing something like Kulak and Ryan Murray. They have not covered themselves in glory early this year. I
Mhm.
thought Murray had a good first game, but since then, the last couple of games have been really not good. And I guess Philip Broberry's dinged up. Maybe if he wasn't, we'd be seeing him also in the lineup by this point. But anyway, these guys have got to pick it up. They've got to do something to help the Oilers win, and they're not doing it right now. Like guys like Zach Hyman are really carrying their weight. And thought Pugliarvi had some good moments.
He did.
Leon was in on all the scoring chances. McDavid had some big moments. Kane seems to start slowing the games and then heat up as the game goes along. He's got to come out a little harder in these games, but Nurse and Ceci are battling hard. Tyson Barrie is Tyson Barrie, and Bouchard has got to pick it up a little bit too. I would include him in that group of. He did pick it up in the third period, I thought. In fact, I'd like to see Bouchard out there on the ice more with McDavid. I think that McDavid needs someone just feeding him the puck a bit better, and I think that's Evan Bouchard. They should team those two players at even strength together, in my opinion. I think that would be a good match. And it would also, when McDavid starts to wheel with the puck in the offensive zone, he can then put it back to a guy in Bouchard who's got just a great, devastating shot. So I think at even strength, they got to think a little bit more about that. They tend to play Ceci and Nurse there, and they're not the offensive players that Evan Bouchard is. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see Bouchard's shots a little bit more on the corner of the net in the breadbasket, but he did have 6 shots on net tonight. There were some ridiculous totals of shots today, including, Evander Kane had 11 shot attempts, most on the team, only 5 shots on net. I say only 5 out of 11. And it seems like he's getting all kinds of great looks from in close, but he's not able to bury anything at all. And I mean, you'd like to think he would have had 1 goal tonight out of all the collection of looks that he had, but he'd either flub the puck off the stick or it'd be a dribbler. He just wasn't really connecting and making the shots he wanted to. He was doing a lot of stuff right, but finishing plays was not one of those things.
Yeah. He did have, we did track him for 4 grade A shots. So,
yeah. Well, some of them were from very close, but not particularly, not great shots in the end, even though they were great opportunities.
All those people who were saying, I told you Evander Kane had an unsustainable shooting percentage in the playoffs last year, are being proven correct, of course.
Yeah.
Your number, Bruce?
Yeah. Well, all those shot totals are pretty fascinating. 3 defensemen had 18 shots, and they're the 3 you want. Bouchard 6, Barrie 5, Nurse 7. And 5 of the forwards had 4+ shots, and they were Hyman, Draisaitl, 4 each, Kane 5, Nugent Hopkins 7, McDavid 4. I mean, those are the guys, those are the productive players. But that's not my number. My number is 18. And 18 is the number of giveaways by Edmonton in this game, and ultimately that was the decisive factor in this game. Edmonton did not manage the puck well enough in the end to win this game because they were a little bit too cavalier with the puck when they had it, especially at the attacking blue line, which cost them on both goals scored by Buffalo in the first 5 minutes of the second period that basically won the game for Buffalo. It was a 1-0 score after a pretty good first period by the Oilers, and then 2 turnovers at the offensive blue line. One was fairly innocuous, and it just turned into a 2-on-2 rush where somehow that Tage Thompson made that fabulous play and bowled through 2 pretty big bulls on the Edmonton side in Nurse and Draisaitl to take it to the net. And that was a hell of a goal. To me, that's a goal of the year candidate, early one. The second one, man, that just can't happen. Where Niemelainen is roaring up the ice, so they got a 4-on-3 rush, and Draisaitl comes over the blue line on the backhand, tries to find the trailer. It's a good play, but you got to make the pass. And the trailer was a right shot, and Yamamoto, who didn't have his damn stick on the ice.
Yeah.
And the pass wasn't perfect, and it went past Yamamoto, and the next thing you know, there's one Buffalo guy's got it, and the other guy who's fallen in the far corner. I think Barry has completely forgotten about the goal scorer, who was, J.J. Peterka.
Nice shot.
Yeah. And Peterka was so far behind the play that all of a sudden he was that far ahead of the play because the puck got turned over going in the wrong direction by Edmonton. And those 18 turnovers, there were some bad ones. Buffalo only had 11. Mind you, they didn't have the puck near as much. And Buffalo was actually +1 on giveaways versus takeaways, and Edmonton was -10. And it was, within those smaller, relatively smaller numbers compared to the shots totals, but turnovers are deadly. I mean, if you watch football, it doesn't take many turnovers to turn a football game.
They really are.
And
They really are deadly. Yeah. Bruce, that turnover by Draisaitl on Peterka's goal, you can really blame Leon for trying that pass, but on the other hand, Yamamoto's fundamental play his stick should be on the ice. Now that would mean taking the puck on the backhand, but he's an
so it
NHL
is.
player, so it is take the pass on the backhand. You have your stick on the ice when Leon Draisaitl's in passing position in the offensive end. How about that? And Tyson Barrie, he's got to be aware of where he was the last player up. And I think he had his eyes on getting in that offensive play a little bit. And he's got to be aware there's a guy behind him. He's got to know that. And he forgot. And hence a breakaway. Bruce, my number is 3, as in third, the third straight game where the Oilers goalies have led in a B grade shot, a B grade scoring chance shot. And those are real backbreakers. In the first game against Vancouver, it was JT Miller scoring from outside. In the second game against Calgary, it was Mike Stone, a defenseman, hammering in the puck from outside. And both you and I agreed. We thought that the goalie Campbell had clear sight lines on that shot, even though it was a heck of a shot. It's an outside shot, and NHL goalies are expected to make that save. And tonight it was Stuart Skinner with Rasmus Dahlin firing from far out. A good shot, a hell of a shot, center of the ice.
Clean look at it, though.
But he had a clean look at it. He's got to make that save, and he didn't. So the Oilers, among their defensive issues, and there are a number of defensive issues right now, they're not taking defense seriously enough, is the bottom line. They haven't had that super solid goaltending that you need to win in the NHL, and that's why they have 1 win and 2 losses at this point. Those goalies make those saves, and these games, the 2 losses might have turned out differently, is the truth. They were close enough, those games. So don't let in B grade scoring shots, Oilers goalies. That's my advice.
The odd one's going to go in. I mean, we still do call them scoring chances, and if they make a perfect shot, like I would say, JT Miller's shot was pretty good. And Stone's, I mean, it was so ridiculously far out; it should never have gone in. But he sure labeled it. But and Dahlin's was a good shot, but he was, well above the circles, and just anyway, when you're losing by 1 goal. And you've had a goal against on a grade B chance, it does kind of stand out.
Yeah. Okay. You are doing the game grades tonight, so we'll let you get at it. Right. The next game is Thursday night against whom, Bruce? Where are they playing?
Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, the Hurricanes. Oh, tough game coming up here. Coming up.
Yeah, they got a lot tougher team on Thursday. And I hope that the Oilers have some gas in the tank, because now after having 2 days off between games, now all of a sudden it starts to get serious. They play tonight, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday again next week. So it's it's not till the end of the month that they have 2 days off between games again. So these tonight 26:52 for McDavid. And I bet you he played at least 10 minutes in the third period. I'll check that out after.
Yeah. And the NHL hockey, it takes a toll on you, man. You get bumps and bruises, and they just keep building up. So.
Or you get cross-checked into the boards by Rasmus Dahlin, like McDavid did there in the third, where he got pushed, and he went flying into the end boards, and Graham Skilleter, Oilers' favorite ref, was busy. I was not impressed with the fact that Buffalo got the only power play in the third period. Let's put that. Edmonton had the puck like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Buffalo committed 0 infractions, according to Gord Dwyer and Graham Skilleter, who is perhaps my least favorite NHL ref. The Oilers never seem to win when that guy is at the controls. Anyway, there was 2 issues tonight. Ryan McLeod got a hooking penalty when he came in, and he got the guy, made a really good back check, but he got him kind of close to the hand on the stick, and they called it. And in the third period, Rasmus Dahlin did the exact same thing, right on the hand of an Oiler. Great check. It was a good stick lift, but he came right in close to his hand. Same ref was in the same corner looking at the same play. Didn't see it.
What do the
Go
fans say,
figure.
Bruce? What do the fans say? Ref,
I
you
think the
suck.
fans say ref you suck. Yeah,
That's
I
what they
never
say.
participated. I'm from the way gone era where we were the "we want a ref" crowd, and we used to get that one going at the old Coliseum from time to time. And I'm not putting this game on the ref. I'm just
No,
saying the Oilers did not get a few breaks in this game, and maybe one or two of them were calls.
alrighty.
That's all. The power
Oh,
play wasn't getting the job done, but a power play in the third period would have been a different beast, I reckon.
the power play actually looked pretty good in a lot of ways. They were sure moving that puck around. They just couldn't get it grade A shots necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did, they got a couple 5 alarm shots in the power play. They couldn't get him in. All right, Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.